Bienvenue sur Paris 13 Lab, le média dédié à la culture urbaine asiatique. Dans cette nouvelle série de reportages, on vous emmène au Danemark pour vous présenter les acteurs de la culture asiatique à Copenhague. Au cours des 7 épisodes, vous ferez la rencontre de restaurateurs, stylistes, entrepreneurs ou encore DJ qui excellent dans leur domaine. Qu'ils soient originaires d'Asie ou du Danemark, chacun d'eux contribue à faire vivre la culture asiatique dans la capitale danoise. Ils suivent des parcours passionnants parsemés d'histoires formidables que vous allez découvrir dès maintenant. Et pour ce 4e épisode, partons à la rencontre de Mia, une styliste et DJ d'origine sud-coréenne.
I'm Mia, and I'm a stylist and creative consultant for record labels with artist branding and PR. And also in TV, I do productions and events and X Factor, the TV show. I did that for 4 years. And then I also do humanitarian work and a DJ. I'm adopted from Korea when I was 4 months. And then I was raised outside of Copenhagen in a small town called Frederikssund. And then I moved here when I was 17 and lived here ever since. There was not many colored people in that town. I was the only Asian in the school, and then there was 2 Muslim kids in my class. I always liked music and hip-hop since I was a kid. And I grew up in Frederikssund, and they had a clothing shop called Drop Dead. It's closed during Corona, so sad. But we had a lot of hip-hop events, and my boyfriend back then, he worked at the shop, so it was almost a lifestyle that they introduced the hip-hop events and concerts to the young people in Frederikssund, and did a lot of community thing when they had parties for teenagers. I listen a lot to Dilated Peoples. And the Alcoholics, and then Mobb Deep also. I still love. And Prodigy.
New York shit, Mobb Deep nigga, Queens, New York shit. Orange box cutter, that New York shit. Guzzle the whole bottle, that's a New York sip. My baby mom's from Brooklyn, my New York bitch.
So that was the one that inspired me to listen to hip hop. And I realized that was fun.
This is Denver, Colorado, known for its high elevation, beautiful mountains, Denver omelets, and possibly John Denver.
Every year they have something they call Thrillist Weekend, a weekend where they fly in all their clients from all over the world, and they make a theme from that city. So a whole weekend where they have food, all the traditional things to do in Denver, art scene, all of that. And then they flew me in, little Mia from Denmark, to play at their event 3 times. And it was held at the biggest luxury hotel in the city. So I also got to see Denver last time, and then British Airways went on a strike, so I actually stayed in Denver for a week. After the gig was done, I met De La Soul, so I think that's one of the best experiences. It was a sponsored trip with a brand called The Perfect V. Actually, it was like a cream thing for the things parts here. And then they had a launch during Miami Fashion Week, and then they flew out 3 influencers from Denmark. It's a US brand. And then they had a show with I don't know, maybe 6 Danish designers for a swimsuit during the Fashion Week in Miami. in the summer. And then they had me playing there. And another DJ. So that was a fun experience to see. And then we got to go to all the fashion shows too, so that was nice. I also do with models, like themes we did for Vice magazine. We did some very controversy shoots some years ago with feminist and transsexual women, where we had a Muslim female, and then we had a woman from, I think she's from Iceland, and we made the exact same shoot with both of them, but different type of people for Vice. And then we had another with a transsexual model called Celine. She actually used to be my assistant. And it was one of the most, had most hits on that site ever, because it was so controversial at that time to do that. And then I worked a lot with all the labels like Warner, Sony, Universal in Denmark. For many years, like Danish artists. And then also with Sony in Norway, boys, Marcus and Martinus.
In better days. Seems like a lot just pop right in, then went away, yeah. Now all I have is this old text messages and pictures.
And in Denmark, like, I think most of the Danish artists. And also the X Factor judge now, and the other, Martin Jensen, he's also a DJ. That's the first time there's a DJ as a judge in X Factor. And then Remy, the old judge from X Factor. I South Korea one time, Jones myself, and you know, go wild, but that's like 1 out of 100 in Denmark. So you can find a lot of inspiration in that and try to make it look like that, but that's in theory, but I think it's very hard to do it in real life in Denmark, because there's a lot of very talented people, but the budget and the way of thinking is not like that. I would love it to be, I think everybody would love it to be like more this, but then you take a chance. So yeah, I find inspiration in it, but it's mainly, I think it's all over the world I find it. It's not only in the Asian roots, because I don't feel that connected because I'm adopted. So I'm more Danish on the inside actually than Asian, if you can say that. And it was nice to try and blend in and try to be the one where my parents were the white people, and kids came up when we were in the Providence far away, and they had to touch my dad, and they thought he was old, so he should sit down all the time, and he's like, I'm not old. But it was nice to feel like that you didn't stood out. But people from Korea could tell that I wasn't from Korea. They could see that I was from the West, yeah, from Europe. That was so weird. to see other people, so many people, look like I do. That was nice, actually. So I wanted to go back someday, also to show my kids the country and show them where I come from, my roots, because they also look Asian. They have the eyes, and they're half, but they have the eyes, and also people tell them they look Asian. So I think that we have to go back so I can show them Like a brand like Uniqlo just did a collab with a Danish crisis center, I think, for domestic violence and abuse. And I think that cause was amazing, that a brand like Uniqlo went in and made a tote bag and a release for that, and then they made an exhibition with women that lived in domestic violence and abuse for many years that stood up and told their story. Because in Denmark we have a very bad system that doesn't listen to kids, women or men for that sake, that's been living in it. And it's been a personal cause to me too, because I lived like that also in domestic violence. So I think it's very brave of Uniqlo to take that step and to take a statement, because there will also be a lot of people saying women lie, blah, 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 all that. So I think it's very brave of them to do that, because they're such a big brand. And I would love to see more of that. And we also did, I think it was last year, with Dansk Flygtningehjælp, Danish, it's called, it helps refugees, Danish Refugee Help. We did a exhibition at a museum right over here, it's called DAC, where an artist I work with, he painted a big old fighter plane to make a statement, because that plane used to bomb people. And then we used it as an artwork to make a statement that is for peace instead of war. And then there was, I think, a whole day of concert shows and food courts and all that. So that's another way to have a brand mixed with the music. And then I had artists, local, upcoming artists coming and playing and all that. So I would love to do more of that, where there's a cause behind it.
She creates beauty, a bit of trouble, her own way. She moves forward, boldly, unafraid. She is past, present, future. She is limitless.
Shout out to Paris 13 Lab. Thank you for having me.
Cet épisode touche à sa fin. On se retrouve très vite pour un nouvel épisode sur la chaîne YouTube Paris 13 Lab.